Welcome to a video series specially made for, by, and with Beautiful Trouble and our activist compatriots from Myanmar who are working for justice, equity, and social change. Beautiful Trouble is all about people-powered creative tools for a more just world. We distill the lessons learned by our comrades from around the world to make them easily accessible for others to make revolution irresistible. Our books, study guide, toolbox, and strategy card deck, along with a global network of trainers, artists, organizers, activistas, all support more effective and innovative action. This is part 3 of a 5-part series and part 2 of our sessions about action planning. Other videos in the series cover creative actions, strategy tools, and more. So let's get started. In this session, we'll be looking at action planning, part 2, and in specific, how you can develop more innovative events to engage others, build power, and communicate your demands effectively. We will use the evaluate and action exercise and then explore the action planning checklist to help you organize better planning before, during, and after an event. In review, like the other exercises in this video series, you'll be able to use either the online toolbox or the strategy cards as you follow along with this video. So let's start by exploring how to use the evaluate and action exercise. It can be done in preparation before an action to avoid pitfalls, or post-action in debrief fashion. First of all, you're going to choose an action to evaluate. You can pick something that's already happened, a story from the Beautiful Trouble toolbox, from the card deck, or something that you yourself know about. So for this example, why don't we use the Burmese Students' Long March? And if you'd like, you can go to the website of Beautiful Trouble and click through to the story about the Burmese Students' Long March. In 2014, hundreds of students embarked on a 580-kilometer long march across Myanmar to protest the military-controlled parliament's attempt to outlaw student unions. Dramatic confrontations between the students and the security forces happened across the movement. There were constant activities that were covered in the media, and they put pressure on the government to negotiate. So let's say we want to think about that. And in preparation for this, I pulled a card from the card deck. And this card is Maintain Nonviolent Discipline. So we've chosen to evaluate the Burmese Students' Long March that happened in 2014. And I pulled a card in preparation, a principle card, and this card says Maintain Nonviolent Discipline. Time and again, unarmed masses of people have triumphed over armed to the teeth forces using humble techniques like strikes, occupations, boycotts, and sit-ins, but only because people have remained nonviolent. So let's talk about this. Did this have anything to do with the Burmese Students' Long March successes? Or if not, what did it mean about the absence of nonviolent discipline? But let's talk about it, because it seems like students have been the center of democracy movements in Myanmar throughout Myanmar's history. And to maintain that legacy and hold what we call the moral high ground, as well as to ensure the campaign received traditional support from the public, it was vital for the students on the Long March to maintain their nonviolence. And we have seen, even in current day activities with the CDM movement, the civil disobedience movement in Myanmar, that part of the support for the CDM movement came from the fact that this movement of students and activists maintained a non-violent approach to and refused to harm each other, harm people, and therefore when the government overreacted, the blowback built support for the activists. So after you did that, you could go back into the toolbox or go back into your card deck and pull out 3 to 5 other principles that would help you guide in your future action planning, or in this case, that you thought were really important in the effectiveness of this event. And in fact, in the Beautiful Trouble toolbox, if you look through and scroll down, you can see related tactics, theories, and principles listed on the side of this story page. And these, of course, are not the only things at play, but they are key things at play that can help you understand how the power of this movement grew and how it led to success in this case. So this is one way to use the evaluate in action exercise, by looking at something that happened through history and learning from that experience. You're going to pick 1 or 2 or 3 cards randomly from the toolbox or the card deck and see if that theory or principle can help you explore other questions or approaches that you may have missed to make it more effective and powerful in action in the future. You can see on the Evaluate in Action page that there are tips for facilitators and people using this tool, and there are ideas of how to make it more effective for you. I'd also like to point out the most important lesson of all of this, and that is that planning matters. Effective actions happen with planning. Any kind of planning that you can do is better than no planning at all, because planning not only helps you be more organized, it helps you think about alternative responses to things that might happen during your events, and it prepares you overall for the ramifications of what you're doing. And it also, most importantly, allows us to innovate and escalate as needed, so that your campaign will be forever growing in power. So in order to help you, we are also offering an action checklist and action star tools. Here's the action before, during, and post checklist. Of course, it's not everything for all situations, but it's a fabulous place to start to make sure you cover as many bases as possible. So you can see, for example, before the action, you're going to do a lot of strategic planning work, identifying your mission, your vision, and your values, setting specific goals, finding particular allies, and really understanding where your points of intervention could be. You're going to do lots of things like media planning and recruitment, practice your event if you can, and possibly even fundraise. Of course, during your action, you have a lot of other things to think about, from outreach to people who are passing by through leafleting. You're going to think about who's leading on the day of and who's going to fill all the roles that could help your action go better, whether it's something like a stage manager or an MC or somebody to talk to the police that we call a police liaison, for example. Maybe you need marshals or peacekeepers or medics on site, someone to clean up. And of course, after your event, you're going to really think about what you can do post-action to make sure that you're building your power. So how do you incorporate or reach out to new people who maybe were attracted to your event? You need to do a debrief internally to talk about what went well and what you can learn from. And of course, maybe you want to throw some kind of celebration, or you have to do some kind of cleanup and plan for the next activity. So all of these things can be really important and will really help you grow your campaign and be more effective overall. As well, we'll share with you a methodology called the Action Star. This particular methodology is very good before the action to help you identify all of these pieces that will make your action more effective. This methodology will help you not miss certain things, like it will make sure that you think about what your action logic is. Does your picture of the action tell the story of why you're doing what you're doing? Do you have capacity to do it appropriately? And on and on. There are resources on how to facilitate these tools within your group, both in the Beautiful Trouble Toolbox and the Beautiful Trouble Action Trainers modules. So, thanks for watching. We hope this video will help to inspire and facilitate the change you want to see in the world. This was part 3 of the series. We focused on action planning using the Evaluate in Action game, the action planning worksheet, and the Action Star. The next video in this series focuses on a strategy tool, the spectrum of allies and opponents. As always, for more resources and to connect with fellow activists and to share your stories, Visit our web pages and get in touch with the team at Beautiful Trouble.